We are in episode, what is this?
We do this every time. 4.
Episode
or
4.
5.
Welcome in. We are in a different location today. This is going to be hard to concentrate. Yeah. I know it's going to be a good conversation, so I will concentrate, but there's quite a lot going on here.
You can't help but look at like the name of the shoe and then just go, oh, I've not seen those before.
Those ones have got my name on it. Not literally, but they will be soon.
Which?
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
See, it's happening.
Welcome back, listeners, watchers. If you aren't watching this episode, stop listening to it and go and watch it, because there's going to be, there's a lot going on in this video. We are, I don't even know how to describe it. I'll let you describe it. Mate, I know it's a very stereotypical thing to do and probably not the best and most original way of starting the podcast, but explain to the listeners and the watchers about, introduce yourself. Who are you and where are we right now?
So, my name's Jim, and I trade as Jimmy Shooz, which is the obvious.
With a Z.
Yes, piss take on the expensive ones. And I really started selling around about 2017. I've always been into collecting. Mm-hmm. So like when I was a kid, it was coins, it was stamps, cigarette cards, all that kind of stuff. Pete, you guys probably don't remember cigarettes, never mind cigarette cards.
Yeah, I dabbled when I was a kid, and luckily I didn't get fully addicted.
Matchstick boxes, that was a thing.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, but I think I've just got that collecting gene.
Yeah.
So, is this there's a lot of size 9s here, which is your personal size. But so the watchers of this right now are thinking, all right, is this his personal collection? Does he sell? So what are we looking at right now?
Okay, so probably do a bit of a jump back in time. When I was growing up, people didn't collect training shoes. It wasn't a thing. So you would buy whatever the latest release was, and it might be tied to a football boot or a personality in sport. But you might buy Mitre or Patrick or Adidas or Puma or whatever. But you would buy one pair and you would literally wear them until they fell off your feet. And then the next pair wasn't necessarily going to be the same make, the same brand, the same style. It was just what looked good in the shop when you went to buy your next pair.
Yeah.
That all started really to change, I think, in the mid-'80s with the Jordan 1s.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people realised that you could have like 6, 7, 8 models of one shoe, and you could swap them around, and you could wear different ones different days. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a big fan of the Jordan 1s because I didn't like how high they were.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I still feel like that now. I never know what trousers to wear with them, ever.
Mm.
But at the same time in 85, Nike decided to produce a shoe that was aimed at basketball players. And it was called the Dunk, and the first iteration of it was really what they called the Be True to Your School. Mm-hmm. And within that there were, I think, 7 colourways for various university/colleges in the States. So as well as having the kind of Jordan collection idea, there was also the Dunk collection idea. The Dunk was a bit more straightforward. It was normally 2 colours. And it was, for me, an easier shoe to wear. Yeah, and that's why I really started enjoying Dunks. In the late 90s, things started getting interesting because there was a move with skateboarders to wear the Dunks. And so that market started to be answered by Nike. But not only that, they started to do kind of joint work and collabs with people to start producing like really interesting shoes. And what I enjoyed about it as things progressed was that you could take a shoe generally within the Nike Dunk or SB ranges, and it would have a good backstory. So it would be interesting colour-wise. They do some crazy shit, you know. If you look at like the Skate or Dies, it's got 14 colours on it, you know, along with orange laces.
There was a Skate or Die in Ryan's shop.
Yeah.
We went there the other week.
Yeah.
Crazy shoe.
And you know, you look at that and you go, well, it's all about the shoe. And I think that's what it was. It was all about the shoe. You just put on a Dunk and, you know, no matter what else you had on, didn't really matter because it was just about the shoe.
So what do you remember the first Dunk you bought then that really sort of sparked your hobby for
I'm assuming this is before SB.
Before
as well,
SBs,
right?
yeah.
Was it like the Syracuse or?
So I think all of those BTTYS shoes were strong in their own way, yeah. And of course, over time, 80s, 90s, I kind of worked my way through what was available.
So where were you buying back then? Like,
so there would be sports shops that would sometimes get them. There would be some skate shops that would get them. I think that there was a much greater general availability because they weren't as highly collectible as they are now. You know, people just buy for the sake of buying. And I think, you know, further on in what we're probably going to discuss is what's happened to the market now. You know, by the overproduction, by the mass marketing, by releasing 40,000 pandas every month, and what that's done to kind of the general Dunk market. But sort of back end of the 90s, you started getting some interesting stuff, and I think really a shoe like the Smurf, when it came out in 99, was a kind of focal point for me because that shoe changed everything. So the design was enhanced, the materials were amazing, the fact that you had the elastic bands in the shoe, and it was aimed at skaters, and it was for a purpose. First fat tongue, the colourway is just stunning, just absolutely stunning. The blue's beautiful.
Obviously, like we said before shooting this podcast, anything you want to cut out, we can. But you have a Smurf here, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
We should get that out in a sec. There might be a lot of editing within this podcast of just like us being here, there, and everywhere because we should show some bits. I don't know whether you're comfortable showing that.
Yeah. That's not a problem. Anything that's in the room.
Let's get them out now. Here we go. Talk us through it. Give me the unboxing. Let's go.
So, back in the day, the old orange tan boxes. These were made in really small numbers, and I suppose because they didn't really know what was going to happen.
Yeah, it's a bit of an experiment.
You know,
right?
It was like, let's try it out. Let's see if anyone is really interested, because you know the shoe did morph from a basketball shoe into a skate shoe. You know, there's still all that. What does the SB stand for?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
And no one's ever provided an answer, which is probably a good thing, which is why we're still talking about.
So do we know if it's Sandy Bodecker or skateboarding?
No.
No one knows?
No.
And Sandy Bodecker never said?
No.
Another reason
Rest
why
in
like,
peace,
SB is just like cool.
Elusive.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to say. So this shoe, as I say, is a bit of a rarity. So
just a little bit.
If you look at the tongue, everything prior to this was a thin tongue. So this was padded for protection.
So that is the first fat tongue.
This is the first fat tongue. And it's also the first nylon tongue. So before this, they were either leather or matching the material of the shoe. And then also, it's the first shoe that had the bands to hold the tongue against the bones that are easiest to break to give you a bit of protection. Yeah. And then
that feels almost directed at skateboarding more so than,
totally.
Yeah.
It's 100% that market. That's where the shoe was supposed to go.
I love the laces.
It's also a stronger construction, so it's better quality materials, and it is built to take a bit more damage. I love these laces.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
That's what stands out to me the most.
Yeah, the flat, thick lace, which is just
that trend's big at the minute.
So retro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this pair, did you get this when they first dropped, or is this a pickup that you've made since?
This is a pickup that I've made since, and I suppose it goes back to the stamps and the coins and all that kind of stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Did I want a penny black? Of course I did. You know, it was the first stamp. Never got one. So when shoes like this become available, you just have to look at whether or not it is. And of course, I don't look upon myself as an owner. I'm just kind of holding them as they pass through.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, that's interesting.
And
also,
I get joy from it.
I love how you respect the paper of a shoebox. Just like me. Luke over here, mate.
I tried earlier,
that paper
right?
around, left, right and centre. That is music to my ears.
I tried to do it properly and Jimmy had to come in after and redo it. Do you want me to put these over here?
So,
yeah, sure.
Do you know how many pairs of this were made?
As far as I know, I have been told that they were only made in a US 9, a US 9.5 and a US 10.
Wow.
And that there were only 200 pairs of each released.
Very limited.
Crazy.
So it was an experimental shoe.
So are you going to let that go if someone wants to buy it or no?
That is up on my Instagram page, whatever that is. And
we will link it down below.
And I'm talking to some people about it because there are collectors out there that recognise what its place is.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone who ever buys it would ever put it on foot. I think they would buy it really as part of a historical collection. And sometimes you do get historical pieces come your way, and you've just got to enjoy them while you have them.
So how did you find this one, if you don't mind me asking?
I bought it from another collector.
Really? Did they reach out to you?
There are people out there that are even more specific in their dunk love than I am. So there are the 6.0 guys, which was a type of dunk that was released over a 5-year period. Yeah. Some of them are incredibly collectible. And there are guys who just collect those. There are guys who just collect orange boxes.
Yeah.
There are guys who just collect pink boxes.
Yeah, era specific.
Yeah,
collectors.
very, very era specific. There is one guy I know who has every single pair of black and purple box. I think there were 43 different styles released during the time that box was prevalent, and he's got every single one dead stock. And that's the kind of thing that collectors do.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting, like the whole SB world, it's very you can compare it to like music, where people are attracted to a shoe for other reasons than it just looking cool, like an era or like the collaboration. It's interesting. Like you said, people can just become obsessed with like a box and just want to collect them all.
It's because they were never mass produced.
No.
So there's something sought after. You know, you want them, and it's the chase as well, especially with the much older pairs.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, with the older pairs, there's so much more of a story. There's so much more history. I mean, if you say, we were talking about the Heinekens earlier on, and you know the fact that Nike really didn't give a shit and produced a shoe with the Heineken logo
Which
on
is
it.
crazy.
Freddy's,
You know,
that's crazy to think of today.
How could anyone nowadays do anything like that? You know, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
You know, some lawyer would say, "Oh my God, you can't do that! Stop!"
Yeah.
You know, but they managed to produce a few thousand of them and get them out into the marketplace.
Which you've got a few of.
Yeah. Yes. Sadly,
that is probably my favourite SB.
Would you ever buy it?
One day. It's very expensive, but I probably would.
So I selfishly would love to know what has been one of your favourite finds, because like I said, I think that is a big part of SBs because of the history and how rare they are now. I mean, like, there's a shoe that I'm going to be buying today, which I've been looking for a while, that you've now got, and that's part of it. Like coming here, buying it, like
But
having a chat.
relatively, your chase for that shoe is like probably minuscule compared to some, maybe a pair of shoes that you wanted and took 5 years to find.
Yeah,
versus
10
6
years,
months.
15 years.
Yeah, what's been like a good find that you wanted and you just stumbled across it here, there, or I don't know, you found it for cheap or what? What's a find that sticks out in your head?
I was accused of being absolutely stupid in 2017 when I paid £14,000 for a pair of Parises.
Which at the I would also probably have called you stupid at the time,
Which was
as well.
peak
Yeah.
at the time. I mean, even then they had their kudos, their rarity, their uniqueness, because obviously every shoe is different.
Yeah.
You know? But at the time, I was stupid.
So how did that come about?
It's opportunity, in as much as at that time, you have to realise that 2016, 2017, people just didn't want the shoes. You know, so it was only collectors, serious collectors, that were really involved in buying those shoes.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Magnus, in Holland, he had a skate shop. He had a Nike SB dealership, and he sold his collection in 2017. Amongst which he sold a pair of the Dunks for €400.
Oh my god, that's one of my favourites.
He was selling Tiffany's for €180.
Wow.
And if you go onto sites like Nike SB Europe on Facebook, you can actually go back
And see the messages.
and see the prices. That I saw something that someone had bumped the other day, where a guy was selling a pair of Blue Lobsters and a pair of Red Lobsters in the box, OG all, not dead stock, for €600 for the two pairs.
Crazy.
€600 for the two pairs.
Yeah, no one saw this coming. Really,
So
did they?
so that at that time, there was some great opportunities out there.
Yeah.
But if you go back even further, you go to 2005 when the Team Manager pack came out. Now that's probably got two of the greatest shoes that they ever produced.
Luke's wearing one now.
Yeah,
That he got from you.
The Stussy Cherries.
The Stussies are just a fantastic shoe. My particular psychosis is with the other ones, the Tiffany's, which I have collected studiously over the years. But when they were released in 2005, they didn't sell. They didn't sell.
You had a cool story about those when we last came up, right? Where you went
Focus.
Yeah,
In Edinburgh.
tell that story about the Tiffany's.
So Focus in Edinburgh had a large number of pairs that they'd bought in, and they only sold 3 or 4 pairs out of the entire batch that they took. So they put them on sale.
And how much was that?
So I think they were 20% off.
Yeah. And what was retail at the time?
Retail at the time was £69, £79.
Wow. Yeah, probably 69. I
And
think.
how much are they worth now? Brand new.
£2,500 to £3,000.
Yeah, crazy. So you went there. You went to the store.
And bought pairs.
Wow. Did you travel up there?
Yeah.
For that?
Yeah.
So at what point did you start seeing shoes as an investment? Or was it always? Well, no, there must have been
I don't think that any collector really looks at the end of the game as the goal. Because I think if you're collecting, there's always something else going to come along that you think, well, I'm going to need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
know?
just like recycling your money into new items.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're never going to sell all of these and have nothing left.
No.
So
No. So I think that, you kind of... There is no end game.
yeah.
Yeah? Until you decide that there has to be an end game.
Yeah, that's very true.
So in 2015, I was gifted.
Yeah. That is
What should we
timing.
do?
Now that we put some money in the meter, we were talking about the end game.
Yeah. Have you had
2015? I was gifted a pair of Yeezys.
Right.
Yeah.
Which pair?
The 350s, the
Right.
Moon Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I was gifted a pair of Oxford Tans.
Those were two of my first releases ever. That's sort of what got me.
But when you're a collector, that's the start of the slippery slope. So I ended up with every single Yeezy 350 that was ever made.
Yeah.
That happens.
And then I started in on the Off-Whites. And then I ended up with every single Off-White that was ever released.
Are they easier for you to sell because you don't have that like emotional attachment to them?
I was very emotionally attached.
Yeah.
What, to the Off-Whites?
To everything.
Yeah. I am.
Did you have SBs at that time?
Oh, yeah.
You did already in the background.
I had
yeah.
shitloads
Yeah, this
of
is just like an
SBs.
addition to
Yeah,
your...
Yeah. Oh, they're nice. And to
Yeah.
be honest, I've got to say Yeezys are probably the 350s are probably one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever
Oh, my
worn.
gosh, yeah.
And if you're going to be on your feet all day, they're probably a decent option.
Yeah.
you know?
Better than
I
SBs.
think the reason why I got into the Off-Whites was purely the aesthetic about them being like a deconstructed, industrialized, homogenized version of a
Popular
mainstream
silhouettes.
trainer with some really crazy directions taken to end up with
Yeah.
what you got.
Virgil was amazing, man.
I loved his
He's
work.
just
I loved his
insane.
work.
He still like inspires me now. Like I don't know, just with everything that he does. So in here, yet again, this podcast, I'm just going to be asking questions that I kind of want to know, selfishly. What are your first of all, what's your favourite box? These are tough questions.
Do you know something? You very kindly, before we started, prepped me a little bit about where we might go. And if I had to pick 3 pairs to save from a fire, I'd probably burn to death.
Really?
Yeah.
Not
Because you just
possible.
wouldn't be able to decide.
I don't. It's like having children.
Yeah.
You know, some of these shoes I've had for over 20 years. Yeah.
Go down with the ship, mate.
And so to actually, and then there's different reasons as well. Yeah. So like if you take the orange boxes, yeah, the early orange boxes, 2002, they decided they were going to do a collab, which was a first. And Supreme, being skate brand and very credible at the time, was the desired option. And so they produced.
Sorry, I was getting excited then. This is one of my favourite shoes of all time.
Say.
But this is the
I'm
first
sweating over it.
Nike SB collaboration.
This was the first Nike collaboration.
The first Nike. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
First Nike collaboration, full stop.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, now it's definitely my favourite shoe of all time.
So this is the bag from the Supreme store
Look at the way you handle it with respect. Mate. I love it.
I'm staying
I love
away.
it.
that the shoes came in, and
Bold.
this is the white cement.
Yeah.
So this shoe is now 22 years old, dead stock. Perfect shoe. The use of the elephant print that had already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the 4, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3.
And the
no?
threes.
Yeah, the 3.
But the blue sock liner, just to give it a colour burst. So they produced this and the black cement.
Yeah.
And it was just taking them in a different direction. This is pre-SB. Yeah?
Oh, is it?
So this is effectively on the cusp of SB becoming a standalone item. And I just find them beautiful.
Yeah, they
I
are.
like
You know?
Mate, it's so funny. Like, I mean, I talk for days. As soon as you were unboxing that shoe, I didn't know what to say. So how did these come out? Sorry, Luke, you go.
The Smurfs were also not SB then.
No.
No, that was 99, right?
So these, if you want to stick that over there for me. So Smurfs were 99. These were 2002, and then 2003 we saw the SBs come out. Silver box, which is a great era for boxes, and you had shoes like the Jedis.
Yeah.
But then they did another Supreme collab in 2003, which was the highs.
Yeah, are they your favourite?
I love.
They are, aren't they?
But it's, you know,
the blue pair is flipping.
We're back
stunning.
to kids again. I've just sold my set of 8.5s, and this is my set of 9s. So these ones, which I think are just a brilliant colour.
The quality is insane on these.
The orange.
Yeah, second favourite out of the pack for me.
They're still in great condition. They've got a little bit of yellowing, but obviously you can get that
I love it.
sorted out as you
Yeah,
go
I love
along.
the
But
yellowing.
if you look at the stars,
Yeah.
which for any SB head is how you gauge just how much
Yeah.
they've been used and abused, but these are almost perfect.
Did you buy these all together?
I bought them as a 3 from one guy. And I did that last year, and I'm so happy.
Oh, last year, so it's the
Yeah,
new, it's a new pickup.
I only bought these last year. That one I'll save to the end.
Which
And then
I'm just making weird noises down microphone over here.
I've got a pair of these as my daily wearers. So I wear
Really?
I wear a pair of these once a week, and this is the red, which is kind of Jordan-esque
Yeah, very.
in a lot of ways, especially with the black laces. It kind of pulls together a lot of history.
The funny thing is about these is that if you asked, without seeing the box, because the box gives away age, if you asked anyone that doesn't know too much about shoes, they could think these released this year. There's something so modern about the design.
They've
the
managed to stay
colours.
current,
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
which
kinda
is rare for
timeless.
SBs.
but I think a lot of that has been helped by the Jordan
Yeah, that is very true.
strategy of kind of keeping the brand relevant and current.
Yeah.
And then probably the nicest of the
I agree.
I think, yeah,
of the
for
three
sure, we all agree.
is the Blue Babies.
It's just the perfect colour.
It is the perfect colour, mate. Look at it.
And they are just a great shoe.
They're ridiculous.
Um,
So did this guy approach you and say, I've got
oh
a
no,
collection?
to be honest, a friend of mine phoned me and said, "There's 3 pairs on eBay and they're in an auction."
Really?
Yeah, and I don't want them, but they're your size. And the auction finished about 30 minutes after he phoned me, and I got on and I managed to pick all 3 pairs up.
Wow.
Amazing, man.
And to have a full set in the same size
Yeah.
is a difficult thing to
It
do.
must be so hard for these people to let go of these shoes, mate.
Yeah, but
It must
look,
be so hard. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Is that university blue, technically? Does it
yes,
say it on the box?
I don't know if it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Even this is like weirdly modern. The box label.
Timeless, isn't it?
Yeah, timeless.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like anything. You know, something happens, you need some money,
Yeah, it's true.
and you've got an asset that you can move that's got
And
Yeah.
Jimmy
great
Shoes
value in it.
exists. You know what I mean? It's not like you can't get any more.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not the only guy out there
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
it. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other shoe resellers are available.
It's crazy though, because like it is a different sort of thing, the SB seller, for me. Like when you meet, like for example, when we met you, it's like it's not like a transactional thing. You know what I mean? It's not just like, I've got the shoe, cool, see you later. It's like you come here and, I mean, I don't know if everyone's allowed it or not, but like you learn about the shoe, you learn about how you got it, and then, I don't know, it's just more of like a enjoyable process, isn't it? Buying off SB collectors and SB
somewhere
stores or whatever.
You, like you said earlier, you have a story. We've spent a lot of time here, and no matter what shoe I pick out, there's a story there, and you know it, either with how you got it or the story behind why the shoe was made, which is behind every Jordan. There's not there's not a story. But behind some of the, you know, the classics, because Jordan wore them in this game or they were banned for this reason, there are stories. But for the most part, in sneakers in general, there's nothing that compares to SB in regards to that.
Yeah.
The meaning behind each shoe.
But I think that the great thing is that those stories were why the shoes were created. I think with a lot of other product, you get a story about the product after it's created.
Like the
because
Jordans,
it gets linked to something or to someone. Whereas with these shoes, you know, I'm wearing De La Soul's today. Yeah, it was about the band. It was about 2005. It was a tribute to a band and an album. But then these were made in 2015 because it was 10 years since they'd made the original two pairs, and they'd switched the designs around.
Yeah.
But it's things like that really drove SB production. There was a period, I think, probably from 2006, 2007, maybe Black Box era onwards, where they really did work hard on the collabs, and they allowed people free rein. It was like, here's a box of crayons, just draw me something.
Do whatever you want.
Draw me something wacky that has some relationship to you or what you're doing, and we'll make the shoe. And that kind of freedom of design concept just isn't there in the mainstream. It's as though they had this kind of wacky side division that went off, and
there were no rules.
Yeah, it's like the punk rock side of like the industry, the business. Yeah,
and related to skate culture and skated themselves and had fun and, you know, did a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
and produced some just incredible looking designs. You know.
I had a question. It's a bit more on like the businessy side of things. So if you don't want to talk about it, it's completely cool. But could this be like a full-time thing? Do you know what I mean? Is this like buying and selling and collecting SB Dunks? Like, is it a hobby as well as like a thing in your life? Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be like too nosy or whatever.
No. Look, it takes up a lot of time, and I'm very fortunate because I have some very, very strong relationships with customers who are as serious about the shoes as I am. And fortunately, they recognise that this is a very serious collection, and that I'm now prepared to move some of those pieces on to people that will treat them, love them and respect them the way that I have for 20 years.
Yeah.
And look at them the same way. I think there is definitely a business here, and I know of 3 or 4 other people in this particular market, the likes of London Sneaker Club, Ryan and
Shout
Moses,
and Moses,
SB Store. Who we've mentioned in the past, who is a guy who's out there doing good deals with a different business model to mine. Box Shoes, another guy who has kind of concentrated on the dunk market and is dealing with a specific area and is doing it really successfully. So there are guys in the UK that are doing that. You've then got the likes of Dan Sell Shoes in Holland, who turns over massive amounts of dunks.
So cool, isn't it? Yeah. There's nothing better in life, in my opinion, than working in a job or in like an industry or with a thing that you love. Do you know what I mean? Like being able to collect whilst making money to keep doing that is like the dream. It's the dream situation, isn't it?
But not only that, I get to come in here and close the door and sit in my chair
Mate,
and just look around.
I was going to say, mate, do you do, because I do this, and my wife thinks I'm a flipping maniac for doing it, but like, I'll just open the cupboard door, take a pair out and look at them, and then put them back in their box, and then keep on doing that. And she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, just working.
Just checking up on them.
Just checking stock. Do you know what I mean? You must do that for hours in here.
It's
Because it's like a museum. Like I came in and I said, "Have you got the Hunter, the
Reese Forbes.
Yeah, Reese Forbes." And you were like, "Yep."
I've not
Sick.
asked you for.
Could I
I've
see
not
them?
asked about a shoe, and you haven't had it actually. Yeah.
That leads us on to a great question.
I did say White Lobsters. That was a stretch.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean,
for the
there
most
are
part-
certain things that wouldn't be in here anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, for sure.
you just can't afford to carry that kind of item in a kind of general stock area. Look,
Yeah.
there's a lot of lovely stuff in here, and I'm fortunate because people come and visit and do what you guys do. They start pulling boxes out and going, "I never knew this shoe existed,"
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So I've got all of that going on, and it's great, and I love it. I really, really enjoy it. It can be a business, but it's also a pleasure.
Yeah,
And if you don't get pleasure out of what you're doing, then probably you shouldn't be doing.
exactly,
Yeah,
mate.
what
it's
you're
very
doing.
true.
Exactly. So that leads me on to a question. What is a pair that you don't have that you are trying to get your hands on?
And have
Is
never
there any?
and have never had.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Yellow
Yeah.
lobsters.
yeah.
No, you've never had.
Yes. Never had a yellow lobster. Never had a white lobster.
Would you buy any size that came up, or would you want your size?
Well, that's what I started doing. So if you look around, there's shoes here in size 6, and they're 25 years old. And the reason that they're there is because when I couldn't get the shoe that I wanted in my size, I wanted the shoe anyway. So I just bought it in whatever size I could get.
6.5 Tiffany up there.
Yeah. Well, Tiffany's are a little bit of an exception for me. I've
Because you
got
just
to
have
admit.
hundreds.
And as time goes by, you will realise that I've got a serious
How many have you
Addiction.
got? How many have you
mental
got?
issue. There may or may not be pairs of Tiffany's. Yeah. And
They're
that's
literally
probably
behind your head.
something that isn't for general consumption either, especially if my wife ever listens to this. But they are a pair that
It's work, mate. You know what I
I
mean?
just love the shoe. I just love the shoe.
I do too. 'cause
It's just a beautiful, beautiful, simple, uncomplicated piece of art.
So, have you got a pair that you wear?
Yes.
it's probably got 5.
Yeah.
No. I've only got. I can only afford to have one in the rotation. And do you know something? It's the worst looking pair of all the pairs that I've got.
Is it?
It's got the most wear. My daughter Sarah has followed my lead, but she loves battered shoes.
Yeah. I'm
So she
quite
has a
like
pair of Stussies that are grey in places.
that. Really? Are they worse than these?
She has. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She has a pair of Tiffany's where there is absolutely no silver left on the swooshes.
I kind of like that as well.
Yeah.
She has a pair of Heinekens that are, to be honest, white and the lightest green you've ever seen in your life.
Sage green.
Yeah. And we do wear our shoes, but we wear battered pairs generally
Yeah.
because
Yeah, you got it, man.
we
Otherwise,
just-
you'd never wear them.
no.
So the yellow lobster, white lobster, anything else?
Have you had every other SB ever?
That's
I think at
gotta be
some
close.
stage everything has passed through my hands.
Wow. Apart
I've
from
been
them.
fortunate
Freddie.
to London's.
London. I saw. We spoke about him last time I was here. He's got an amazing Instagram page. Scottish guy. Yeah, he put on his page the other day on his story a pair of Londons.
Wow.
Crazy shoe.
He did one of the most inspiring things that I've ever seen, and he wore a different pair of SBs every day for a year.
Wow.
Fair play.
365 pairs
Fair play.
of Nike SBs. He also, at least for the European end of the tour, when the 20 years of SBs tour was on,
Yeah.
he provided most of the
I
shoes
saw that. Yeah.
for that tour.
Yeah.
The guy's got an incredible.
He was humble, mate.
Who's his name?
So
What's his
I
name,
can't
sorry?
remember his name. We'll find it and link him below. But I was in Edinburgh with my wife's sister and my son, and we bumped into this guy, and he was wearing a pair of, what was he wearing? Like a new release. I can't remember what it was. I was like, "Are you into shoes?" And he's like, "Yeah." "Are you?" And I was like, "Yeah." Anyway, see you later, mate. Like, just didn't really.
Oh, what, you didn't know who he was at the time?
Well, my wife's sister knew him.
Right.
And then when I got back to the house that evening, Ailey was like, "Oh, this is the guy's Instagram, by the way, that we briefly met earlier." And I was like, "You could have told me he was like into shoes. Like, this guy's got Freddy's, like London.
He's got the best collection in the
it's
UK.
Insane.
Yeah, the best collection
crazy.
in the UK.
But yeah, he
funny.
supplied a lot of the.
Yeah, that is.
I don't think he buys and sells. I think he just quietly collects in the background, and I think for him, it's a collecting passion.
That leads me on to a question that I had. Yeah, again, we spoke about it before, but like, what in the SB world, so in your world, is it frowned upon to sell or not?
No.
See, it's weird, isn't it?
Not at all.
And we like, because we spoke about it before, that there is a level of sneaker reselling that is kind of looked poorly upon in a weird.
But I think
way.
I don't think you can be a true sneakerhead and frown upon reselling, because to be a reseller is to resell a pair of shoes. You can't be a sneakerhead if you've never sold a pair of shoes. Like, even if you just sold it, I can't imagine being a sneakerhead and never selling a pair at some point to buy another pair.
Most of us have got that trading criteria within us.
Yeah.
Where we realise that, you know, we're going to have to sell this to get that, or we're going to have to sell those to get that, or someone wants that, and that means that can get all of those.
Yeah.
And I think that is, as someone who's into sneakers particularly, but generally in life, just something that goes on.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I don't think that SB wearers are too much up their own tushy to be that kind of.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the reselling thing has been driven by what's happened in the last 5-6 years with the automation of the market, with the ability to go out and buy more than one pair, by having the technology available to you to do a small business and run it as an opportunity. And yes, people criticise that, but at the end of the day, we all have to make a living.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have bills to pay. We all have responsibilities to meet. So, you know, if we pick a certain way to do it, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I feel like in any
mean,
other industries.
Look at this. You know,
Yeah.
it's like this is the ultimate definition of my craziness over the last 4 years, where I went out and bought every single pair of SBs that was released.
I've got to stop looking, mate, because every time I look, I'm just like, oh, I want that. I might ask you how much that is. I've got to stop looking. But it's interesting though, because like I compare it a lot to, well, I talk about like the music industry where people buy and sell like used drum kits or whatever. And there's equivalents of like you in those worlds where like you get lovers of vintage drums and they buy them because they love them and they want to collect them, but they also want to like make a living from it, which is there's nothing wrong with that. And I think where you're at, and hopefully where we're at as well, is you're not just supplying a shoe, taking the money and moving on. You're making the item, making sure the item is legit, and then also like providing knowledge and helping the person get the pairs they want and all of those other things. And like you said, people need to make a living and people need to make money for their time they're putting in. And I love it. I think it's amazing. It's just interesting. I think since the pandemic, it's really become, you know, like sneaker reselling there's a level of it that gets criticised quite a lot.
I think that level though is the people that really don't have the slightest bit of interest in shoes themselves, and maybe that's where that starts to come from.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the people that look at it as an item rather than something that has a character or relevance of its own,
or even just not
right.
basic knowledge. You know, very much just like my mates told me to buy this.
They'll be selling
go
like
buy it, sell it,
something else in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a bit.
They'll
different.
be at the swatch shop, or they'll be wherever,
Yeah.
there is an in to make.
Mate, can I buy those shoes?
Well, unfortunately, I put them up on Instagram, and somebody made me a really good offer.
And that was me.
And the short answer is no.
I can see them.
I'll get them down for you.
So, I mean, I've spoken about this in every podcast.
If anyone's listened to any of our podcasts or TikTok or Instagram clips, you would know Eddie's obsession for this shoe.
And then, Jimmy said it's come in.
2005, Nike approached a famed graphic designer whose street name was Pushead, and he specialised in album covers, T-shirts, a lot of stuff that was band orientated, and they came up with what is probably one of the most interesting boxes that they've ever done, but also one of the most interesting shoes. So this is the 2005 version, and as you can see, the box has just incredible graphics on it.
That's my childhood, literally.
And it's literally the whole box is covered.
It's probably, in my opinion, the coolest SB box. I'm just having a brief look around, and I think that is the
Isn't this the
standout.
only time they've done a custom box?
No.
No?
No. As far as I'm aware, and putting my neck on the line, this was the first custom box.
Right.
Yeah. But it wasn't custom in the way that we look at things now, because obviously there's a lot of people out in the market that are doing things with shoes, whereas this was a customization by Nike and Pushead of their pink box and their product. So in that respect, he had his own paper for the box, and they produced this really, really unusual multicoloured shoe. Now, this is really different in as much as you had single colours, yeah? You didn't really get the craziness of a multicoloured design on a canvas base. So it is
a mental shoot, that.
It was as though someone had cut up a painting.
Yep.
You know, very much going to the Paris kind of idea of what do we do with the shoe. And then the protected parts of the shoe that come under the plastic cover, but also give it incredible strength. So all the while they're thinking thick tongue. Remember this from the Smurf with the elastic bands. You can see how this got to where it did from what happened in '99. And then they did incredible insoles for these shoes as well.
Yep, sold. I need a US 11 instantly.
So this was the first, and then to follow that up, some years later, they produced the Pushead 2, and this is once again the canvas background, but it is more akin to a camo shoe than it is.
It's like bleached denim almost. It's weird, isn't it?
Than a
yeah, they are in good condition. I'm frothing at the mouth over it, people.
Even with this one, which I think is really different, is the fact that they produced laces.
That is very unique.
That matched the print on the canvas of the toe box and the rest of the shoe. We still managed to get the logo on the heel. Beautiful golden lettering. And it's just a really, really cool shoe.
It's really
and
cool.
what year was the second one?
This is 2012, I believe.
Okay, so quite a bit after this
So
one.
it was a good bit afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's one of the themes that you tend to see with SB, in that they revisit guys who did good stuff.
Yeah.
You know? But when they do revisit them, they're still producing stuff that is in no way mainstream. You are not going to see other shoe manufacturers creating anything akin to this
Mate, I saw
as a mainstream product.
I saw a video on YouTube when I literally last week, and it was a guy going to like an in-store. It wasn't even a collection. It's just they dropped, and there was like 4 people in line. It's crazy. And the bag, mate.
And then
right, pass it here.
That suede is super nice.
you got a bag from the
wow.
store
Yeah, boy.
that
That is a really
has the
nice
logo.
touch.
And I think this is one of the coolest bags I've ever
That-
seen.
That is very
Because
cool.
the bottom section where the cutouts are goes flat. Yeah. Your shoes sit inside with the box
Yeah.
sticking out. Yeah. And it's just another piece of cool Nike SB
Everything about it, mate.
I can't
creativity.
figure out.
And it's got the box
So cool.
label on it.
So cool.
I can't figure out which I prefer.
Yeah.
I think I prefer the one.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
But
I
they're
just
both
love,
beautiful
like,
in their own
yeah,
right.
it's just like that. I think it is like bleached t-shirt vibes. I think I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's stunning, man. So how did these come around? So do people just message you now because they know you're the guy? If they're getting rid of collections, they just hit you up.
I'm very fortunate. Some of the people that I've mentioned already are great contacts for me, but then you've got guys like Zachary Kornfeld, Sacred Sneaks in the States, other SB specialists that are producing opportunities for me to get hold of pairs that people are looking for. So I can literally put out a message and say, I need a pushead 2, and I need it in a US 10.5 or 11, and I'll get a couple of options. And then it's a question of buying the best one. Now, the interesting thing with this shoe is that it has got a reasonable amount of wear on the toe stars. The toe stars are almost gone.
But the rest of it is.
The upper is absolutely mint.
Yeah, they've
crazy,
taken
so
care
clean.
of these.
So whoever has had them
Yeah.
has loved them.
That
you know?
suede is really like
thick,
It's
isn't
so
it?
soft.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
buttery.
really thick.
beautiful.
Would you like to try the other one, sir?
Yes, please, mate. So for the list, well,
Would
for
you
the
like a shoe
watchers,
one, sir?
The reason why I've been like hiding my feet away is because I had a nightmare journey getting here, and then I stood in the biggest puddle on the day where I'm wearing like cream trousers and coming to a room full of really expensive shoes. So I've left my shoes outside the room, but yeah, I'm slipping these on now. Yeah, they're
Sold.
insane, mate. Sold.
Now, do they fit okay?
Yeah, they fit perfectly.
Okay.
Older SBs, man. Half size up.
Yeah. And I think that's a good tip for anyone. If you are going to buy older SBs, try and take the opportunity to try them on first.
When would you say the sizes changed a little bit, or is there no definitive?
I don't think there's a definitive. I think that what we have to understand is that back in the day, different factories, different countries, sometimes one shoe was made in one factory and the other shoe was made in a different factory to prevent stock theft and
I
that
guess
kind of stuff.
If they're used as well, then they could have potentially been stretched by the person wearing them. So
Yeah.
you've got to try them on if you can.
I've got a guy who's a really good customer of mine. He's a size 9 all day long. He's a size 9 in older, and he's a size 9 in newer. But then sometimes I'll get a 9.5, and it will be a perfect fit for him. So I've got a dead stock pair of Miss Pac-Mans over there, and they came in a 9.5, and he tried them on, and they fit like a glove. So it's strange.
Depends,
you know,
pair to pair
I
can be
think-
different.
It's hard to concentrate now, boys, with these on my feet.
He wants to go run around.
I want to
the
go
block.
run around, yeah.
Run up and down the corridor.
I might just put them on my hands for the rest of the podcast.
So Jimmy, you know that with these Supremes, you bought them fairly recently. Is there anything here that you've had significantly longer than any of the other pairs? Like what shoes here have you had in your possession the
I've still got a
longest?
pair of Tiffany's from Focus in 2005.
Have you got the receipt?
One of those reduced ones?
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you got the receipt
I
with it?
don't know if the receipt's in that box or the size 8. Second row in, shoe at the top. That's
Well,
it.
you need gloves. Oh, these are sick, mate. These are so good. I need another pair just in case these get damaged.
Get the first ones.
Do you
and
prefer
then
you prefer number
No,
one?
but it's a duo.
Oh, this is a happy coincidence as well, because I can give a plug to Diamond Supply because they very kindly sent me some socks when they saw the madness of my collection.
Oh,
Did they?
really?
Yeah.
That's very
That's cool.
But equally, I must say a big shout.
Sorry, I'm just being your mic tech here, mate.
Sorry, mate. A
That's
big
all right,
shout to the guys at Get Paired. Now, have you come across
Yes.
Get Paired?
I've seen them on your Instagram, yeah.
They make the coolest socks. Yeah, but not only are they really cool, but the quality is amazing.
Do they do the lobster ones?
Yeah.
They were opposite you at Sneakerness.
Yes.
Yes.
They
yeah.
do amazing stuff.
Yeah.
They've just leaked a Heineken sock
Nice.
that is totally sick. But just look at that shelf over there. I do have a bit of a problem with Get Paired.
The right when we were at Sneakerness, Ryan was trying to convince them to make a white lobster one because I think he had just sold a pair and he wanted to give them a pair of the socks with it.
They are ridiculous. So you bought those from Focus back in the day?
Yeah.
For about 50 quid.
That's crazy.
I think they were £59, I think.
And is this the shoe you've had the longest?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In this, well, one of the shoes I've had the longest.
Right, yeah, that was a good year.
I've had quite a lot of the orange box stuff for quite some time. A lot of the silver boxes came in kind of the mid 2000 to 2010s because that's when I really started getting serious about trying to find the stuff that was out there in the early days.
Is this the first SB you bought from a shop for yourself, or did you? Yeah.
No. I think I bought a pair of Jedis before I bought these, which would have been 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
But they weren't a thing that you saw every day. You weren't like going into a JD Sports and seeing these shoes. So there was a bit of hunting and there was a bit of luck. It all depended whether or not somebody had a pair for sale.
Yeah.
In a store. And the other thing was, the ability to buy on the internet
was non-existent.
Yeah. Probably 2007 eBay, something like that. 2006, 2007. So before that, it was just potluck.
Well, you could. There were some forums to buy and sell on, but you couldn't really pay people. It wasn't as easy to make a bank transfer, and then if you did, you might not get the shoes. It's crazy how easy and accessible
it wasn't as joined up.
No,
I'm going to kick those out now.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
I mean, the Tiffany's have always been a thing. Every time I see a pair, it has been alleged that I buy them, and that may or may not be the case.
impulse.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a situation where like you found a shoe or someone's reached
Diamond
out to
in
you
the dirt.
and they don't know what they've had or something?
I bought a pair of Tiffany's in 2019 for £146, which at the time was a good buy. It's an even better buy now because things had started to go crazy at that time. Once the TV personalities had started trotting round with them on their feet, prices just went mad. I mean, you know the Mondrian story, don't you?
The what, sorry?
The Mondrian story.
No.
So Kylie Jenner wanted a pair of Mondrians, and so she bought them from someone in the UK, size 7, for £7,000,
which is way over what?
on StockX.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to wear them as soon as she got them, and the shoes went from £500 to £2,000 in a week.
They're a good-looking shoe. I like them. Yeah.
She
But
did
it
that
just-
with a few.
Oh yeah,
dunks, yeah.
oh yeah.
Kylie
I mean,
Jenner
she
effect.
has a pair of Parises,
Yeah.
and she has a pair of Heinekens. But it's just the madness of what happened kind of 2017 onwards.
Yeah.
And really that's the time that I realised, probably 2017, that selling shoes had to be a thing,
Yeah.
because the world had changed. It wasn't just about, having £1,000 of shoes lying in a cupboard. All of a sudden those £1,000 of shoes were £10,000, £20,000, and you either had to do something to look after them properly or
Yeah,
decide
it became commoditized almost.
Yeah, it did.
Sure,
it
yeah.
did. But then the kind of OCD drive that any collector's got meant that I'd ended up with 400 pairs of collectible shoes, and
Not a bad problem to have.
No.
Yeah. So what's your plan moving forward, if anything? Are you just sort of like, because you started, was SneakerCon the first, not Sneaker Nest, was that the first show you've done?
No.
Or
I've been
done
I've been going to shows since 2017.
Oh right, I didn't know that.
And I met a really nice lad called Ollie Mesa, who runs the Lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Yeezys at that time, and he encouraged me to think about selling part of my collection. And so I turned up at one of the shows that he was doing with a bag of shoes, and we kind of sold them off the side of his table, and that's how we started.
He's got a couple of cherries.
Yes, he has.
So I messaged
He's
him
a
about-
good guy. I like him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
wicked. He's wicked.
Yeah, we kind of helped each other over the years, which we've continued to do, and then SneakerCon at the XL was a good learning experience for me.
Yeah.
And
We saw your table.
No, this was when Travis was
Oh
born.
my god,
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Oh fucking hell, yeah. That's
We
when,
had to leave early
Mate.
because Eddie's wife went into labour.
mate, most stressful situation of my life.
We hadn't
you
even.
went to a shoe show when your wife
Yeah,
was
Well,
in
that's-
labour.
that's
Right.
another
Don't-
story.
yeah, right.
Top man,
This
honestly.
is all
Amazing.
right.
Yeah.
People in the
Let's
comments
tell
are
the
going to
story.
slate me for
Let's
this.
tell
All
the
right.
story.
So basically, the due date was Sunday and the show was Saturday, and I said to my wife, I was like, "Look, I don't have to go. I'm not like dying to go." And she was like, "Look, just go, sell some shoes, and make some money." And I was like, "All right, cool." But I will, my phone will be on the whole time. Just let me know. And if anyone has been to the XL, then the signal was pretty bad. So it was ropey anyway. We were really late. And
Yeah,
like,
I
we
was
set
going
up
to
on a
say
maze
there's more to
table.
the story. We were late,
Super late.
so we
Couldn't
couldn't
get in.
unload, and the car park's miles away. So I had to call my friend because we were sort of just like tagging along with next to his table. Like 10 guys come out, and we all just bring in like a few bags each and a few pairs each.
It was just the messiest
And
day ever.
yeah, and then literally 2 hours later, I
Yeah.
think did she get through to me or
Well,
something?
I had
Yeah,
to like
bad
keep on,
phone
I had to
signal.
keep on going outside to get signal, and then she was like, "I've just taken the dog for a walk, and like I think it's starting." And then I couldn't get through to her. And then I ran back in. I was like, "Wrap it up. We've got to go." And then it just took so long to get the shoes in the van. And then so I live in Winchester, which is miles from the XL. We're in his van. So I'm like shouting at people on the M25, like, "Move out of the way."
He
I've
was
gotta
just
go, I've
shouting,
gotta go."
but it wasn't doing anything.
Inside the van,
Yeah.
with the
And-
windows closed.
And I was driving.
Kinda
He's
like
like,
today.
"Go faster," and I'm like, "It can't go faster."
Yeah. And then my car was parked at your house. Got to your house. I was like, "Keep on going."
Oh yeah, he was like, "We're not getting my car. You're taking me to the
Yeah.
hospital."
And then he dropped me off at the hospital. But then they did send her home because she was quite early on. But yeah, hectic.
Good story.
Hectic.
And I had a load of the unreleased, the Basement Air Max 90s because I got a bunch of pairs early, and this was like my big break, right? I was going to sell them all at SneakerCon.
And then are they still in the back of the van?
Well, yeah,
in the studio, mate.
I didn't have them inside with me because we could only bring so many pairs in. So as we're leaving, I grab all my friends again, and they're all helping us bring our shoes out to the van. And I'm just shouting, anyone want to buy these
It was like a market stall, mate.
Everyone's
like,
just
basements.
I'm just flogging off as many pairs as I can before we leave, because I'm like, what else am I going to do with them?
Yeah.
And I just like taking cash. Yeah, you can have them.
It was hectic. It was so
Good
stressful.
times.
Brilliant. But
Yeah.
isn't that part of the fun of it?
Mate, exactly. And it was a big
memories.
learning curve. Then we did SneakerCon in 2020. When was
That was the one at the Olympia.
Yeah.
Olympia.
You
Was
were
that
there
20
too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember him there
Yeah.
because we were trying to find orange lobsters. That was just after they released, wasn't it? And there was
Yeah.
like none.
I had
No one
had one pair,
Yeah.
but I wasn't going to sell them because
Yeah.
I just felt they were just
You
going to
knew.
keep on.
Yeah.
That was what
moving.
made us realise that shoe. We were like, no one has them. They're not as existent as people think they are.
Yeah, I remember your table as well. And I remember, like, a couple of weeks after just seeing, I put it in the chat. I was like, does anyone know what this table was?
Yeah, who is this guy?
Who was this guy? Because it was just so, like, you know what those things are like. They're so busy and hectic. It was just hard to, like, soak everything in.
Yeah.
But I think next year would be fun.
And then Sneakerness, I went with Ryan. And what's weird about that is, I've not got them here, but the Tiffany's, they were Ryan's, weren't they?
Yeah.
And I came with Ryan, and I carried those Tiffany's in to give to you to sell for Ryan, and then I've ended up buying them. So funny, because he knew when he saw them, he was like, those are mine. And that was funny as well, because every shoe I tried to buy off you, someone else had like bought it.
Yeah.
That was a mad day.
Yeah, that people were just like
Did
buying.
you sell a lot?
That was the craziest 3 hours. That first 3 hours, the craziest 3 hours I've ever had handling shoes.
Really?
It was just madness.
It wasn't even open either.
No,
This was just the vendors.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So
And
what
VIP
did you, what
or
did you sell in
something.
that, like, first 3 hours? Do you remember?
I did about £20,000 worth of shoes in that first.
Crazy. What was it? New SBs or older ones?
New SBs, some pre-worn stuff. But it was just an incredibly mad experience.
Yeah.
No one had
We're gonna do
any
sneaker
SBs, basically.
Yeah.
Well, no. Dennis was there, Sneaker Den.
Oh, yeah.
He had some big sizes.
Yeah.
But he's great for that. You know,
Yeah.
if you've got 11, 12, 13 feet, size-wise, I mean, he's your man because he gets all of that. He really does specialise.
He's got a crazy collection as well.
Yeah. nuts
in
collection.
getting those big sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other interesting thing. You know, I've mentioned probably 5 or 6 people that are in the same market as me.
Mm-hmm.
But we talk, we trade, we
Yeah.
swap.
It's quite a tight knit community, isn't it?
And the other
Specifically
thing
for
is, when you go
SBs.
to one of these shows, 1% of the people that walk through the door are really honestly interested in what I do. The other 99% could just walk past me as if I'm not there.
Or just very simply, how much are they? Okay, here's the money.
Oh,
That's
they're
it.
different, you know. But there's 1% of the customer base that is really into these kind of things, and that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
So I get the opportunity to talk to people. My daughter Sarah and her fellow Rich, they do all the hard work. And Sarah, God bless her, has set up my website and she's set up my Instagram, and she's
Proper family
Yeah,
business.
man.
yeah,
That's wicked.
she's really helped in kind of, because obviously at my age, being internet savvy is not exactly part of my general remit.
Well, mate, I think you've got your hands busy enough with all of this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
It's good
Yeah,
fun.
man.
It really is good fun.
Well, mate, I think we should wrap it. How long have we been going for? What's that?
Hour 13.
Hour 13.
That's perfect.
That's a banger, mate. I mean, we could go on and on. Maybe we should do like a part 2 someday when we next come up and buy some more shoes. We
Well,
bought Red Lobsters,
I
Tiffany's,
can't.
Stussy,
I can't really go through the 3 top picks.
No.
So I think if you want to come back next time, I could certainly do my top 10.